Welcome back to the Hook, Line and Sinker YouTube channel, Andrew, where we are examining the journey of Beast 2, the boat that we're actually out in. Just cleaned the feet of Flathead. Fantastic vessel she is.
The do's and don'ts, Nick, of project boating.
Yep.
This is a 25-foot Bertram, which we did up. We took the stern drives out. We put a pod on the back and we put outboard motors on the back of that pod.
Now, there have been various steps to get us to the part in this story where we are today.
Yes.
If you haven't been following along, it might be worthwhile to sort of go back and watch the progression, because what we did is put an aluminium pod on this boat. We took the stern drives out of here and we basically wrecked it.
Yeah, we ruined it. We made it all nice and shiny, and we did all this stuff in the cockpit here. We kept the original engine box because we thought that would be like a good antique sort of thing to do, but classic. We cut it right back. That's a live bait tank now. She was beautiful. Put her in the water. She was very, very tender, to the point where if you stepped on the gunnel, you'd think the whole thing would topple over.
And that was exacerbated if you drove it from the Flybridge.
Yes.
When you're elevated a bit, it was an extremely nerve-wracking thing to drive. Anyway, so we cut some big holes in the pod to make it sort of self-filling, self-draining.
A flooding sort of pod. We didn't know whether it was going to work.
We absolutely didn't know, and without a word of a lie. Anyway, we got our friends from Yamaha down and we put Beast 2 back in the water to see, A, if the flooding pod had made it any better, and B, how the thing performed. Now, at-rest stability seems to be awesome, Drew. Let's just test the...
Look at this. I call this the running man test.
Yes.
It's fixed. It's
fixed.
like it used to be.
Yeah,
it's unreal.
Right,
Still full of water at the moment.
let's see how quickly it drains out. I'm going to transition to the plane. You all right?
Yep.
Transition to the plane in this boat happens unbelievably effortlessly. Now there, running along nearly 20-something knots. Bit of out trim, perfect. Trim is perfect, can't overstate that. How are we going?
That's all drained out completely now.
So what, 10?
I reckon 10 seconds, or probably 15 for the whole lot to be going.
Yeah.
And now we're back to an awesome running boat.
How good is the trim in this though? Like how well does it just run?
Best boat in the world.
In the world?
And we fixed it.
I reckon we fixed it. I want to see how quickly it fills up.
Stop it, yeah.
Right. Oh, everything's so nice. I remember doing that with the old stern.
Whoa, she's filling up.
She fills up?
She's filling up.
It's interesting, when you stop, you can feel sort of a bit of bum high.
Yeah. And now not so much. That's awesome.
Now not at all.
And now look, it's just stable.
Like a rock.
Yeah.
Like a rock. Well, that's great.
Well done.
Good. Well done us.
Well done us. Fair to say, we were relieved and excited.
I mean, it just, you know, could not have worked out better. And we will own our mistakes.
Yeah.
As a gentleman who's dropped a 780 bar crusher on a boat ramp, you will own your mistakes. But
why?
That wasn't one of them. That was a great win, you know, good things.
It was noticeable as soon as we put the boat in the water. So we put the boat in the water and it just sat down on its marks.
Yep.
And you stepped on it, and instead of it going like this, it just sort of went,
yep.
It just didn't move. Like, you know, it's a stable thing now.
It really is. One of the things we always do with our project boats, particularly when we do a repower, is run the numbers, that is gather fuel and performance data. Yep. If you're interested in how a Birdie 25 goes with twin 6-cylinder stern drives, that's in a previous episode. Now though, time to run the numbers and see how it goes with twin 200 horsepower Yamahas on the back. It's pretty good. All right, so I'd like to welcome you along to the boardroom here aboard Beast 2. We're at the board table. I'm joined by Yamaha engine genius Glenn Gibson, Yamaha Motor Australia. Welcome aboard Beast too, man.
It's good to be back on another Beast project.
What a ship this is.
I couldn't believe it at first. What did we refer to? A BMW with a sports mode.
Yes, but you were aboard when she was in her original guise, you know, stern drives and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
What are your recollections of that?
Well, first thing I did is when I jumped aboard, I said, what happened here? We've got all the back space, we've got the more room, we can move around in the boat. Someone, actually at the ramp, you started it up and the guy that was putting us in the water said, have you got them running?
So today, mate, we're about empirical performance evidence. We want to see what the transformation has done to it in terms of, you know, how fast it goes and what sort of fuel it uses.
Excellent, yep. And I think one thing that we all know here for sure is it's a hell of a lot quieter.
You don't hear the engines in here, you just merely hear the slap of water on the hull. You know, that's what you hear in here. I'm looking forward to today. I can't tell you how excited both Andrew and I are about this boat. We love it.
Let's get into it.
It was a breezy day, so we headed upriver to find somewhere out of the wind. It did give us the chance to run the boat in a variety of trim settings. Here she is with a bit of bow down, just crunching the wake of our camera boat, doesn't even move.
And what about this? Yammy's trimmed out, Beast 2 skimming over the surface like a race boat. Very exciting.
Filled with enthusiasm, it was time to go to work.
All right, Gibbo, so we've got to get the data. Just explain how this works for the uninitiated.
Yeah, now that we've got some two new outboards on the back, we're going to measure our speed and fuel. That's going to then give us our economy, and then with the fuel we got on board, we can start to work out our ranges, our best cruise speed, where this boat sits best on the water.
That is one thing, like the data, the fuel data that we get, that's important, you know, the economy, the range, whatever. But what a transformation, you know, you remember what a transformation this is, just simply doing what we've done.
Surely just the lack of vibration in this boat alone means that every 12 months we're not going to have to go around and retighten every screw. I was looking at the sounder before, it's sitting there without vibration.
Righto, so 500 RPM increments, we get speed,
yep.
We get fuel burn. Let's do the numbers. Righto, Skippy,
Righto.
You need your pad and paper.
And while we're on the subject of numbers, worthwhile to have a look at how she measures up on the scales. A recent trip to the weighbridge made for some interesting reading. Fully fueled, the boat, motors and trailer came in at just a smidge under 3.5 tonnes, which makes her one hefty trailer boat.
Meanwhile, back on board, the speed and fuel measurement was in full swing.
1,000 Glen, speed 5.2, fuel 5.5.
Thank you. 1,500 now, Nick.
Timing 9.5.
Yes, fuel.
9.1. 2,500 Gleno. 18.1 Gleno.
Yes, and fuel, Nick.
Fuel flow 24.1.
It would seem at 2,500 we're already on plane.
Yes.
Up to 3,000 RPM.
So Gleno,
yeah, mate.
3,500.
Yep.
Speed is 35.8.
Yes, and fuel burn?
Fuel burn is 39.5.
Beautiful. Coming into its own now. Not big leaps of fuel, but big leaps of speed.
Ready to go?
$4,500 now, Nick.
53.8. Fuel burn is 69.
Rightio, 5,000. Start to wick it up.
Speed is 59.2. Fuel burn 94.2.
Rightio, 5,500.
$5,500 is 64.1.
Fuel?
115.0.
Testing was a precision affair, up and back, with the wind, against the wind, with the tide, against the tide, each run finishing with a blistering burst of wide open throttle.
75, there's 75.5, Gleno, 75.8, 76 kilometres per hour.
There's your 40 knots, Nick.
40 knots. She's a 40 knot boat, Beto. It feels quick. I gotta say, it feels really, really quick. This boat. Oh. The interesting thing about it though, it feels quick. But you could leave the, you know, if you wanted to burn that sort of fuel and cover that kind of distance, they'd take it.
I'm just suggesting this boat would be what? How old?
It is exactly 37 years old.
So for its 37th birthday, it's now got the fastest it's ever been.
Yes.
That was really fast.
Yes, that was really fast.
That was stupid fast.
Yeah.
How fast was that?
That was 40
That
knots.
was 40 knots, Andrew.
It was a 40 knot boat.
That was fast.
Yeah.
The
But look at
windswept,
this.
the grinning.
This is 20 knots though. Look at this though. Oh. We can go twice this fast, but at this speed, this boat goes anywhere. It crosses ocean.
And it uses
2.7 litres of fuel an hour.
Did anyone bring the checkers?
Cheese would be nice, wouldn't it?
Let's go have lunch.
Okay.
What a boat! What a boat!
I love hugs.
The results are in and we're pleased to say they stack up very favourably for the new Yamahas.
Let's start with speed. No big surprise, but it's a massive improvement with Yamaha power. The stern drives were good for 26 and a bit knots, or 49 kilometres per hour. Stately rather than startling performance. With the new F200's top speed has gone through the roof, up more than 50% to 75 kilometres per hour, or a tick over 40 knots, the benchmark number for a quick boat.
Right, let's talk fuel. At the all-important troll speed, about 1500 RPM for both setups, the stern drives used 13 litres per hour. The Yammies are burning 10, say a 30 litre fuel saving for a big day out trolling. Now at cruising speed things get even more interesting, so we've come inside to highlight the importance. For the Cruisers, the kind of Goldilocks rev range was 27,500 RPM, and at that speed the boat was doing 20 knots, 19.7 knots, burning 44.4 litres per hour. Not bad, or so we thought. Now for the Yammies, the beautiful F200s, the engine speed is 3,200 RPM, and at that rev range, the boat's doing much the same speed, about 20 knots, I think 19.7, burning remarkably 33.3 litres per hour. That is 12 litres per hour less than the old engines, which represents, Andrew, a 26% economy gain.
In terms of economy, how far can you travel on 1 litre of fuel? The stern drives could manage 880 metres per litre, but you had to be careful. Much of a deviation in throttle sent that number plummeting. In contrast, our new Yammies can cover 1100 metres per litre, but even better, they can deliver that economy in a speed window from about 17 to 25 knots. On a 400 litre fuel tank, that's a difference in range of almost 100 k's.
The numbers speak for themselves, but this boat is about so much more than numbers.
So with the numbers done, I guess that now that we know the boat, we've used the boat a lot over the last 5 years, the takeaway messages are, no matter where you drive it, whether it's heavy weather sort of cruising at 18 knots or it's flat water cruising at 28 knots, you get about a kilometre per litre of fuel.
Yeah.
That's what you get.
Yeah. So, you know, in reality, it's actually pretty good on fuel.
It's not pretty good on fuel.
I'll give you another takeaway from this boat.
Yes.
It's not great on a trailer as a towing thing. If you're towing it, you know, if you're 200 kilometres from your fishing destination, you need a big truck to tow a boat like this.
That's why you haven't seen it much over the last few years, because it lives near my house in a boatyard, where the furthest I tow it is to the service station
to fill it up with
and then
fuel.
drop it in the water. And the trailer, which we did up in a previous episode, is now back to being quite rusted out and, you know,
dodgy
wheel bearings and whatever else. But for the purposes of what we need it for, it's fine.
The other takeaways from this boat, and basically the reason we are still standing in it today, 5 or 6 years down the track, it is a great boat. This is what you are hoping for from a project boat.
Correct.
It was a good boat. with its original configuration.
Yes.
Now it's a much, much better boat.
Yeah,
it's a turnkey big boat.
It's got 500 or 600 hours on it. You literally press the buttons and they go, and there's really been no issues with this boat whatsoever.
No.
It's a fast boat. It goes 40 knots. It never used to do that with its old stern drives. It's a stable boat. It's a big, roomy boat.
It's a beautifully quiet boat.
Yes,
you know, you can sit in at the downstairs helm having a conversation. You can, you know, you hear a bit of something from the engines, not much. Mostly what you hear is water on the hull.
The loudest noise is the water noise. And again, with the size, it swallows up heaps. Like I take the kids camping.
Yeah.
You can take kayaks, you can take stand-up paddleboards, you can take tents, you can take it all, and it swallows it up.
We have had the opportunity to use this boat in a few fishing trips for the show, and we thought it was probably worthwhile to, you know, cut up a few little bits and pieces of that to show us actually how you use it. You know, we've taken it as far south as Pedra Branca into the Southern Ocean. It's also, should be noted, a very, very good sea boat. We are in base 2, which is a nice little surprise. This is our expedition cruiser. The cockpit in this boat is enormous, like properly enormous. You know, like if there was a Vienna waltz playing, yeah, heaps of room for that. I like it. Fish on! Oh,
That's your schoolie.
that's your schoolie. That's the horn. How's the serenity? It stays on. Bertram! Oh, don't do that. I mean, seriously though, he was going to come in the boat crew. He was going to go on base 2 because he'd heard about it. Oh.
Yes.
Oh. Right. Crikey, mate.
Yep, that's kingy. That's the kingy. That's the kingy. Oh my goodness. How about that for a nice kingfish? What about my party lights that you poo-pooed right from the start?
I'm still...
How can you not like them? It's B25 and B25.
Which of these vessels is the way to go?
Okay. I've already in my mind, I'm pretty sure that I know the
There's
answer.
an early favourite, isn't it?
Fish on! That is the story of Beast 2. And look, if you missed the story of Beast 1, that's on our YouTube channel as well.
And coming up, Andrew,
Yes.
there are, you know, literally decades of project boats that we have in the archive, and we'll be cutting them up into. I think the next thing we do is look at some smaller, more affordable things, you know, with mid-range horsepower. So that'll be the next thing that's coming up on the Hook, Line and Sinker YouTube channel. If you are enjoying this, please do hit the subscribe button and the little bell button that tells you when a new video hits the ground.
Yeah, we will try and keep uploading as often as we can. So yeah, thanks for watching. We hope you've enjoyed it. We hope you've taken something out of it, and we'll see you next time.